you're praying all day long. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not, I don't, identify as super religious. Like I grew up in an upbringing Christian and stuff, but I've kind of gotten all kinds of spiritualities in my own search and whatever. And I'm not really, I'm not really a religious guy. He said, no, man. He's like, you're praying all day. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And he goes, I hope this meeting goes well. I hope this bid is a winner. I hope these people accept my job application. I hope there's meatloaf with gravy tonight for dinner. And you're always, if you think about it, many of us, and he was just, it was a spear in my heart. I'd never heard that. It took me, 35 years to get to a point where someone said those words that I'm praying all the time. And I said, wow, I actually am. I'm really thinking about what I want my day to look like, what for me. And he said, try an experiment. And I love experiments, man. I'm always trying stuff, and trying new things and just open. And the experiment was, try for the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, next time you're around people, 12 hours, day, try to think about and imagine what prayers they have and start answering prayers. And that, for me, man, I was like, whoa, because it went from serving self to serving others. And it changed, it helped on this kind of journey I've been on, but it was just such an easy thing to say, man, if I'm walking around praying like this and this hit me so hard, and I know others I've talked about with this, they're like, oh yeah, now you know. So now we know, wow, okay, I have this thing where I'm always asking for, I want this. Well, that's the praying part of us, and that's okay. We want things, we need things, we have needs, and it's fine, that's okay. But the other part of us, what would say the grantor of prayers, the God, the universe, the nature, whatever you want to call it in your religion, your belief system, that provider, you are part of that. I am part of that. How empowering to think that I can answer prayers. Little old me, and whatever job I was in or money I was making or the peon that I thought I was for so many years. All of us go through these stages where we identify with the job we have or the familial status we came up in or what's going on in our life, or the car we have, what we're able to afford, things like that. Especially in the first world, kind of Western countries, we're in this thought process of that means something, but it doesn't. It's really about how can I help others, and what can I do for others, and no matter where I am in that system that I judge myself or I categorize myself or put myself in a box, no matter where I am capable of godlike things. I am capable of granting prayers. And sometimes a lot of us are walking around in despair, man. Life is hard. It's lonely sometimes. It's scary. It's fearful. It's full of guilt and shame and fear and sadness and grief. And sometimes someone seeing our name tag at the grocery store and saying, hey, Josh, how you doing today, man? Whoa, hey, I'm doing great. How are you, man? And it's holy shit, someone just acknowledged me. It's that yoga saying, namaste. My soul recognizes your soul. Dale Carnegie in that the great that book, I think that sales book, that perennial sales book, the sweetest sound in anyone's world is their own name. Using someone's name, recognizing someone, caring, just showing up like that. You can provide love, provide comfort. Think about that person you saw at TSA that was just super happy and hey, how's it going? Where are you going today? Just full of joy, and that maybe waiter that waited on you, or that boss you had, if you're so lucky, right? Just that person who was so just there for you, man. That, you're shit, I love that. What is that? I don't know why this cat is so happy. There's 35 other waiters here, but this one cat is choosing to be on fire with love, with light, with care, with appreciation. He is engaging that godlike ability that we have. Like, that's a choice, bro. Like crazy. And here we are trying to satisfy ourselves to no end, right? Feed the hungry ghost. We keep devouring all these things and consuming. I want the new car, the new job, the new this, the title, the this. And then there's just another hill to climb. And it's tireless because we're chasing these external things. And the reality is, like, we can actually find peace, and a lot of that can come through helping others and through serving others. It goes back to that quote, man, like, we work on ourselves in order to help others, but we also help others in order to work on ourselves. And so there's a lot of symbiosis that happens. There's a lot of interdependency. There's a lot of, just kind of connection between all of us. And, I'd say just exploring that is really interesting. And when Dej told me about, hey, you're praying all the time, why don't you just start thinking about answering the prayers around you? Like, man, that really sparked a cool inquiry and a cool part of my exploration, and like examining and embodying, what this life can be and how it can be different, and where my agency is, what control I have over how I act, how things are. And it kind of brings me to another thing that Dej said to me, which was, don't waste any interactions. And these really dovetail together. Dej is an incredible guy. He's extremely studied in all kinds of schools and knowledge, and he said, don't waste any interactions. And like, so for me, excuse me, at first I was like, okay, so I get on a plane for a 6-hour flight, and it's 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Like, I don't want to talk to this cat. That's fine, man. That's another issue. Like, you need some rest, man. Get yourself some rest. But when you feel okay and you feel all right, like, instead of going into your own thing, if you got the time, and this could be passing by someone like in the grocery store, like I was saying, someone with a name tag. It could be you're sitting at home with your father-in-law or your elderly grandpa, and you're in different rooms. And, don't waste that interaction. Don't waste that time where those two souls are in the same space at the same time. The other thing Dej used to always say is God comes to us in skin. And I love that, man. And like, that goes back into the answering prayers. Like, we can be so much for each other if we're not afraid of each other, right? That's some of our greatest fears are of other humans. We just are. It's a human thing, right? We're the biggest predators on the planet. Like, we do more killing than any animal, So we're naturally kind of afraid of other humans. But to break that barrier and actually think, man, there's a lot we have in common on our shadow side that we don't share. There's a lot of guilt, fear, shame, pain, interesting things that this cat has done and I've done. And like, you can read 1 million books and experience 1 million different lives, but if you don't read books and you only experience your own life and you're not talking to anyone else, that doesn't think the same way you do, you're not really getting more perspective. You're not gaining anything, and you're not giving anything to the world. And so when we start to waste interactions, that just means not taking the time to see the sacredness that these two lines crossed. They're here. There's something here in this human in this room with me. There's a reason we're here. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just to say hi. Maybe it's to see something in his eye or my eye or whatever. But maybe it's a lot more. And maybe this could be the best day of my life. And maybe this could be the person that I needed to meet for me, or he needed or she needed to meet for her or him. And maybe there's some part of my side that connects okay with some part of their side and comes together. And maybe we can figure some things out together, some understanding about this mystery. Maybe we can feel connection. Maybe we can feel unity, the oneness that we are. This beautiful thing that we all are, experiencing ourselves as different fractions of whatever this is. This one thing is beautiful, and that unity we can experience by connecting with others. So the whole idea of not wasting interactions is to just show up sincere and not turn it off. And obviously this is hard if you're in a bad place and you're struggling and things are hard. Fine, got it. There were years where I wouldn't want to interact with someone because I was so down. Like it took me hours to get off the couch in the morning because I was so anxious and scared of like life. I didn't even know what I was scared of. That was the hardest thing about anxiety. Like I was like, what? I'm so scared. What are you scared of? I have no idea. Like that sounds nuts to even try and say that to a doctor or like a person. I was so afraid for years to say that I was living with friggin' anxiety. But I couldn't even get off the couch in the morning. And now, we're in a place, I'm in a place, through looking inward and addressing that, and saying, where does that come from? And spending time on that, I've gotten to a place where I'm free and I'm okay to go out and I feel okay. And once that's there, now we can start saying, I'm full, things are good. Now we can start taking that advice of not wasting interactions, But we've got to check on ourselves first, make ourselves full, and make sure we're getting what we need to be able to show up. But it's really being courageous and just saying, stepping into a place and taking advantage of the people that are put in your life, connecting with them on a deeper level, learning about them, and shoot, man, once you learn about people, it's hard to hate. Once you learn about people, it's hard to misunderstand. You might, but if you truly get to know someone, if you spend some time with them and don't waste that interaction, you can serve them better. You can learn more. You can help each other. And it costs you nothing, it costs them nothing. Maybe a little bit of courage. But yeah, that's a really, really interesting idea of praying versus answering prayers and our connection with others and not wasting interactions.